quick?
No.
Hey, this is Carly. She's the manager of the building. Thanks for hiring West Coast.
Yeah.
Cool. It should be go pretty good. Thanks, because I.
Okay.
Hey, Anthony here from the Best in the West. Today we're at a strip mall in Brea, California. What we're doing is we're doing this area here and this area right here. It's in front of a ballet studio. My daughter actually took ballet there for a few years, and that's in front of a taekwondo studio. And they're going to put benches where the parents and people can sit out there. Here's the rig. I brought the pump and the tractor on the same day. It's a one and done. That's how I've been doing them. I've just been doing them all in one day. But I've been using a lot of accelerant, 2% in everything I'm pouring. Here's the S70. Like I've said before, this is the absolute best machine you can buy. You can buy a big Bobcat and you can have little guy syndrome, whatever. But I'll do whatever anyone does with this. Plus, I have two other tractors that are bigger for bigger jobs, obviously. But it rained here for like a couple of weeks, so these planters are murky and wet, and it's kind of got some clay in it. And I get in there and skin it with this little Bobcat, no problem, in probably 15 minutes, grate it out. And they want the curb out of that planter right there. I used to sit right there watching my daughter do ballet. So my friend Todd owns this place, and that was his niece that hired me. She's the property manager. Her name's Carly. She's really easy to work with. So I'm going to blast the curb out. And then I got a 10-wheeler coming because I was going to stockpile it all in the alley or use my trailer. But this stuff compounded like, man, it was almost a full semi. It only calced to like 8 yards. So I got to break this curb off. But the curb in the back against the wall, they're going to leave. So I'm just going to methodically break it with the Bobcat right on the corner. And then we're going to patch it with some cream. I didn't saw cut it or nothing. You'll see how I did it. It came out really good. I'm really good on a skid steer. I can run a crack and break it the way I hit it exactly where I want to. Because the curb in the back against the wall is staying. We're just concreting it level with the existing concrete by that truncated dome right there. And the asphalt right behind these guys right there, I make it even with the concrete. So I take that piece out too. I didn't originally notice that or agree with it. But when I was here, I was like, it'll just look better. And I'm getting a yard extra of concrete anyway, so why not? So I'll just make the whole thing. If people are easy to deal with me and money-wise and hire me, I just do stuff extra and I don't even say anything. So I just took that asphalt out so it was right on the joint, so it looks better. And I didn't know if this curb was keyed up under the concrete, so Javier had the guys dig the other parts out to see if it was keyed in, so when I break it, I didn't chip the existing concrete. And if you go in there with this little tractor, you might bottom out and with the back and hit the concrete and spall it, take a chip off of it, and then you got to patch it. And it's in the walkway. I didn't really want to do that. So we dug it out around the perimeter. You'll see how we did it. So we're just throwing this stuff out of the way in the alley till the truck comes. And I had to bring a bigger tractor because he can just skin this dirt while I'm taking the dirt with the other tractor, and I just put it right where he's standing, right there, the guy in the red jacket. I just pile it up right there. So I get the planter dug on the far end and put it right there. So in the truck and tractor, all the dirt's just on this end. That's how we're doing it. We're just peeling them out. Just got to do it really clean. Really, sometimes you got to go slow. You don't want to. It's better to go slow and take a little more time. It's a full day anyway by pulling those out by hand instead of just. I could flip them all with the tractor, but I just don't want to chip the existing concrete. And that's a new slab right there. Right where they're at. That's not that old. I remember when they poured that one. My daughter went there. So you just lift it straight up and out. But the rest is kind of locked in. The rest of this curb. So we dug it in the front so we don't. I could just push it over and flip it up and break it. That's a S70. That's a 36-inch Bobcat with a 350-pound hammer that you'll see when I pull it up there. I mean, this stuff's probably, what is that, about 12 inches? And you can just hammer right through anything with this little setup if you're good and you know what you're doing. You'll see how easy it breaks it. Bam, right through it. I'm just barely hitting it. It's all how you position the breaker and the way you lift the tires and the way you angle it, and then you turn it as it's going in it. I maneuver it different ways, and you can basically hit stuff and crack it any way, which way you want to crack it. But I got two finishers and two laborers because we're going to do it all today. So I'm going to open this up. Once you put a void in the curb, then it has no structure to it. You can pop it out. And the one against the wall, I just broke it on the corner perfectly, and then we patched it with cream. And then on the other end of the curb, we made a like ramp curb. You'll see it. It looked better than that curb. And I don't know why that was there, but there's an Edison box there too. When I bid it, I thought I was going to ramp it up to the box was my initial thought. The box is higher. And dealing with Edison's not even worth it because they want to get the bench in there and everything so the parents can sit in there and watch their kids. So I'm digging this one out where the big tractor can't get in it, and I'm just dumping it right there so when he comes up, he could just scoop it with the level we're going to go. And the problem with this slab right here, you'll see when we pour it, the curb and the sidewalk were dead level because they didn't anticipate somebody filling it with concrete and put a seating bench and all that. So right where the downspout off the roof comes, we put a little swale where the water runs out. And the next day I showed up, it was raining, and I have it on video that no standing water on it, but it was dead level, the curb and the sidewalk, and that curb was staying. So we weren't taking this curb out where Javier is. And then we left about 8 inches. We boxed it out with forms so they can put plants around that Edison box or whatever they want to put up. And Edison has access to it if they got to lower it or whatever. So I'm just grading this thing out. I mean, you do this by hand unless you had this little sucker. You couldn't get a big tractor in there because of the Edison box, the curbs. It'd be really tight. You wouldn't be able to do much. I did this in about 10-15 minutes. I just graded it, skinned it, and we set it up. We were mainly, see where that downspout is for the rain right there, right next to the guy shoveling? We angled it at an angle, the flow line, so the water will come out. Having the right equipment and being good on it's vital. And if it takes time to be good on it, at some point, everyone's going to be good on it if you keep getting on it, you know? Everyone deserves to work for themselves and make it their own living, too, you know? Anyone could do this stuff. You just learn as you go. If you come in with knowledge, you're home free. There's a lot of different virtues from being an employee to an owner that you need, though. You got to have good communication. I really update the customers. If they're not there, I'll take pictures and send it while they're pouring and while I'm pouring it or whatever when it's done. And they say, I really appreciate the updates and everything you did. So I have a really good rapport with people, and in the PR work, I'm really good at that. I'm good at bidding it. I'm good at doing the work, the whole thing, pretty much. But I'm one of those guys that watches people that are successful. I don't ask that many questions. I just ask a few key questions. I can pretty much figure it out. So we're getting a height on that. See, we got a string line from the sidewalk to the curb, and it's dead level when we put the level on it. And back here, when I take this curb out, that back one's staying, so I'm just going to break it right along it, right at the edge with the breaker here. He showed up here. This is my buddy Ortega's setup. He sent this guy out here on his... The other side's all ready to go. So we're just going to break this curb, and he's going to grade the dirt down there where we need it, and then we'll hand groom it. Because there's not much room in there to do anything. Which you don't need to, because this dirt was a little bit of clay, but it was basically good dirt. So we're just going to continually take this curb out here. This little tractor, I would advise everybody to get it. Don't get a stand-on. Get an S70, learn how to run it, and you'll be good on every skid steer. You want a roll cage around you. It's got way more power. See, I'm going to break it right at the end right there. Boom. I backed off of it when it was going in it so I didn't crack a bigger piece off. I got the crack going, then I pulled back with the bit, and it pulled it right away, straight down. So we take some cream off the top, and we do like a little patch over that rough edge there. The other one, I broke it back a little farther so I could just put a little ramp curb coming off the existing one. So once we get this out, we'll grade it, and then I got the truck will called for 10:30. I think we started at 8. And I just told my buddy Greg Johnson to hold on till about an hour away. I just call him and say, just load it, you know. So we're ready, and he shows up on time. And that's why I use him. I have accounts and at like 4 different ready mix plants, but you never know where you get, what you're going to get. You don't know if you're getting a hot load. You don't know if they're going to be 3 hours late. So I like somebody that answers the phone who's driving the truck. That's why I use independent guys. Plus, I grew up with Greg, so I've known him forever. And he's not in the business of lying. He'll tell you, oh, man, I'm running 2 hours late, or whatever the situation is. It is what it is, as long as you know. You can tell your guys, hey, man, go eat or go do something else, or he's going to be an hour. And when you have multiple trucks, that's really nice to know, so you don't have a cold joint. Or, we got a truck. When I got multiple loads, I got a truck at the plant waiting to be loaded while I'm unloading him or whoever comes first. Look how much dirt came out of this place. I mean, we had to mount it up over the top. It calced to like 8.5 yards or something. And this stuff fluffed 25%, probably more. This was just easier for me. If I wasn't doing it all in one day, I would have just used my trailer. But I got the truck coming. My pump's out front. I'm going to pull it back around in the alley. I hooked it to the other truck. There's our Guatemalan tamper. I have a Viber plate. Javier has one. We have jumping jacks. I can compact it with the tractor better than you can with a plate or a whacker. I've been doing it for 20 years that way. And everything I have, none of it cracks. So I don't understand anybody's point. And if you want me to go video any job that's 3 years old, pick one off YouTube. I'll go video it. Stairs, bench, whatever you want to see. J-ditch. Everything everyone says on there never happened. None of it. There's no cracks. There's no nothing on any of the videos I posted on YouTube. And I'd go film them if someone wants me to. I'm not here to blow smoke up your ass, so I'm just telling you facts. And that little piece there I'm going to take out. I actually bottomed out and chipped it, a little piece off of it. So I'm getting a yard anyway, so I just demoed that piece out and the asphalt out. We were going to pour it to it, but stuff happens, when you're trying to go too fast. So we got it all demoed out. I'm using a 3000 straight cement, same mix I always do. I was the first guy on here ever to tell what mixes I use and how much I charge and, what tools we're using and where we get them. Ooh. So we pulled the truck around. I got it hooked to my other truck. If I get jobs this size and under, like a load and under, I'm just going to start doing them in the same day. I was spending a lot of money the way I was doing it. There's a lot. My jobs are fat. There's a lot of money on them. And I'd always give them an extra day. But I'm slowing down also, and they understand. And I'll give them a little bit more for that day. And I already pay them above the going rate. So I'll kick them an extra more money on a one and done. We make like $6-7 grand that day. You can make like $6-7 grand on one day doing something like this. And the cleaning process is no way around it, man. The cleaning process is almost as hard as the job because it's got to be spotless, and I got to get all the water and everything broomed out before the truck gets there because I can't do it when there's concrete on there if it gets into the slab. So you got to clean it before he gets here. And we scrubbed the crap. It took like 45 minutes to clean that mess up. And we set the whole thing up in an hour and a half and dug it out. There's the best in the West right there. He's ready to rock and roll. That's his Greg Johnson's friend, Matt. That's his truck. Johnson's been farming them out. That's who you need in Orange County right there. Knows how to do the job and knows how to charge. So we're pre-marking the joints. We always mark them, measure it out prior. You could do it after. There's plenty of time. I got 2% in this, but this part's under an awning. This part's outside. So the other side's never going to see water. It's underneath. This side's critical, though, to get the water out, especially with people sitting out there. But see, I just formed that Edison box out. Javier had the same idea I did. We were going to ramp it up a little bit to it so people don't trip on it, and I didn't like that either. And I said, let's just box it out and leave it where it's at, and they can put plants around it or rock, like decorative rock, and rake it up to the top of the Edison box, or I don't know. Here's what we're doing here. We're putting a flow line. We're going to make a little wet screed right there of our height, and we're just going to rod off that. We don't have any flow pretzel pins with a 2x4 you could run down that flow line, but we're just going to do it this way. We measured it where V's barely to that swell. But you can't see it with your eye. It looks flat. You'll see it when I film it in the rain. It looks flat right there, but it's not. From right where Milton and the Orange to the downspout is. So here we go. We are professionals. We pump it in. We get the concept. It's the 21st century. So we just pump this in effortlessly. This is just, you can't do concrete make it any easier than the way West Coast does it. It's just, It's just a fact. I mean, like it or not. People can convince themselves that a motorized wheelbarrow is fast and blah, 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 and you plug up, but you've watched a couple hundred of my videos. Let me see you Georgia buggy, the Stairway to Heaven, or the J-Ditch, or if things can't do what I do, it's not better. It's pretty simple. It's not hard to figure out. You're watching it with your own eyes. If people can't do the jobs I do with the way they're doing it, then you know I'm superior and I'm above it. Different level. And this is not a different level in Southern California. There's a lot of people at this level out here. Just the way it is. It's a different standard. It's a higher income. It's a higher medium per house. The average house in Orange County is $1 million for the average house, track house. So you know what kind of people you're dealing with. And some of those houses I go in gated communities, these other YouTubers don't even know where they're at. They would shut the gate in their face. They're not getting through those gates. They've never been through them. I work in there regular. So we got the chalk line right there. We snap. That curb stayed, like I said. I'm just going to lay it down on that chalk line. We'll get the screed off of that, and then we'll get a couple feet off of that, and then we'll just go off the existing curb. So we'll get that screed about 2 feet off that curb. That's our level. That's our height, excuse me. And then we'll go off this existing, and then we'll just go straight back, just like they're doing. Best in the West is getting down. There's no arguing. There's nobody overworked. I don't think in 10, 15 years I've ever had a disagreement with Javier or words with him. I did with Milton Jr. and his buddies one time, and that's the only episode we've ever had. You know, I told him I was sorry about it, whatever. We moved on. It's water under the bridge. See that piece right there where Milton's screeding, where we took the asphalt out? It's much better this way. Looked and leave that piece of asphalt in there. I didn't bid it for that, and I didn't notice it when Carly, the lady who hired me, met me there, and I saw that. I didn't mention it to her. I just did it. I didn't tell her, hey, I need more money. I took out this asphalt. I just do it. You're there. You got a machine. You got extra concrete. You might as well just go the extra mile. I do it on every job I'm at. That's why my reputation's the highest you can get in Orange County. And Orange County's one of the richest counties in the world. Orange County generates more revenue than 34 states. Just the county I live in. So it tells you what you're dealing with. There's a standard. It's a different ballpark than what these other guys in other states have seen. I've seen them come out here when I was a pumper, guys from other states, and they just got drowned and they were gone. I've seen it so many times. I'm from here. I'm from there. I'm like, oh, really? And I'm trying to help them out and tell them what the protocol is, and they're like, oh, I know what's going on. I'm like, okay. And then they're calling me later saying, man, this place is a different world. Like, yeah, I tried to tell you. So we're getting a bowl float on it. We use a wooden bowl float. It leaves the top open, and the water will rise to the top and then bleed through. That's the right process for concrete. That's the protocol you want. And then we'll use a steel bowl float, Fresno, or whatever funny trowel, and we'll trap the water and then seal it. Once you put a steel on it, the water's trapped. It's only going down. And you got to get a little sponge. You get a little bit on the curb. You got to clean it up. You know, the whole perimeter on both sides. It's just little things like that people notice, and details that I'm really good at. I say, hey, you guys, clean that up. Get a sponge. Do that. You know. Here's Johnson. Came out to see the best in the West. Oh, my God. West Coast again. 1954. 8.5 yards. But it's a pretty performance mix, high-end mix I use. You know, I got straight cement, 3,000, 2% Polar Set. Polar Set's expensive. And I price my job so we can bring the right amount of people. I don't ever... Any video you've seen, we've never been undergunned or undermanned. And we got Jonathan, that's Milton's younger brother. He's learning to finish now. He's been laboring the same way Milton came out. Milton was laboring and learning just like that, and he'll be just as good. Milton's A1 finisher now. You do it for 2.5 years, 6 days a week, you get pretty good out here. And it's totally different style. It has to actually look good. You can't broom it wet, and you know, you come out here and you put stamps down and you're stamping on them with your feet. They will throw you the hell out of here. You got to wait till that stuff's going off, and you got to beat it in. You got to put a perfect etch in it. That's the curb we had to extend where I broke it, and I broke it up a little farther. So we just got a wheelbarrow of mud, and then Javier will just makeshift a curb for right there. My day's done again. I'm just chilling after this. When you have machinery, that's how you can operate. You can justify what you're charging, what you're making, and the machine does the work, so it's going to be a lot faster than troweling concrete on your knees.
Hello.
So I'm going to wind this up here. Sorry about that. Should have turned my phone off. So I had this guy in the red hat, Larry, cleaning this up. I swear, the whole time we were pouring. It was such a nightmare. Dirt just gets everywhere, and you run it over the tractor. And I always try and stay square and not turn. I go straight in, straight out, straight in, or I go at angles. But sometimes it just keeps embedding it. Concrete's porous. You embed that in there, and you're in for a doozy getting that out. And you can't pressure wash it right now or anything because you can't get any water in the slab, in the fresh concrete. So I was talking to Javier, and I said, just chip that thing off with a chipping hammer straight down and then patch it because it kind of stuck out a little bit at the bottom. So we just chipped it off, and then he just patches it. He just got the cream off the top of the concrete, and he just, floated it over top of it where it looks nice. After he's done, it looks really good. But I could get a lot of commercial. I had a gas station that I was going to sign, and then they want to hold 10% of my money on retention for a year, and I'm like, no, you pay me, and you wait on the retention. And he was going to do it, and then he backed out. But I'm not doing that stuff, man. You're not holding my money for a year, 10% of what I made. Makes no sense. I don't know who came up with these systems that they have out here, but I wish I could rewrite it because it's just ridiculous. Everybody else gets paid, and I'm going to sit there and wait 10%. It would have been a cool job too. It was a whole gas station. It was like about not even a quarter mile from my house on Beach Boulevard in Huntington. I was going to gut the whole outside of it and redo it. And he was giving me the job. He says, your job. And then I said, there's no retention, this and that. He said, oh, yeah. And I said, I'm not doing it. I'm cool. I'll go chill at the beach, dude. I'll do these jobs. It's hard enough. I don't need any headaches. When people deal with me, it's got to be just straightforward, black and white, smooth. Otherwise, I just, gracefully bow out and say, this job's not for me. No hard feelings, That's how I roll. But I'm really sawed off after here. I got a bench coming up, another concrete bench and fire pit. It's probably about a month and a half out. It's in Huntington, where I did the floating steps for the last video, where I did the planter in that backyard. It's probably about 3,000 square feet with the bench, fire pit. So Milton, pretty much, I bring an extra guy for Javier to give him breaks anytime I can. I don't really like him on the concrete unless it's detailed, custom stuff. I get him out on there. But generally, I just have him set up and check elevations, and I try and make it easy as I can on him. I never have him undergunned where he's out there killing himself. It's just the way that you operate. I wouldn't do that to him anyway. But if I needed to, dude, that guy will never complain. That guy will jump on it. He's probably the smartest, best finisher I've ever seen. He's in the top 3. I like him to do stuff like this and detail it. So we just have Milton. That's why he was training his brother, cutting the joints, because I told Javier, just let them skate it. He's like, oh, I'll do it. All right. See how that curb turned out? It's pretty nice. Sloped it down. There's a finished product there. Oh, no, it's not. We're far from finished. This stuff hung up. It looks nice day out, but it was kind of chilly. And 2% in it, too. What you do when you use Polar Set is they got to load it really, really, really dry and let it burn up and heat up in the truck as you're going there. If they load it wet, 5.5, 6, that stuff will not work. They got to bring it out at 3.5, spin into the drum with the friction and heating it up. and then it works perfect. You can add water when they get there, but in the 40 minutes it's driving, just let it burn up, and it works. Otherwise, it won't work. I've seen it where I poured it and they brought it a little wetter, and I swear they didn't put it in it. And then Johnson finally told me what happens. You got to load it dry. I didn't know that. Polar Set's the way to go. I don't know what they have in other states, but they have CC and Polar Set here. Water reducers, retardants, whatever, same as everywhere else probably. Does that look sweet or what? That's like a perfect job. There's something you'll never see. Zoom in up on it. What does that tell you? Let's give this channel the recognition it needs and start subscribing. A lot of people watch. I never cared, but it's just the fact of the matter. The principle of it, the stuff I put up, the information I give, the equipment information. So feel free to subscribe. Check out my Instagram. Seems to be doing pretty good. And there's a final product there. That's another 10. Look at the joints. My laborers cut those joints. Huh. There you go. There it is in the rain there. You can see it's raining right now. And there's the final product. No water. It's all draining off right where that spout right there comes. It's going direct line to that cone. On a zero flow. Thank you very much for watching The Best in the West. And I appreciate everyone watching and supporting the channel. And that's a wrap on this one. Have a nice day. And I'll see you on the next one. Bye.